Did you know that in the Generation 1 Pokemon games, if you go into a gym, face one of these statues, then pull out your fishing rod, it will actually let you fish? This is from an oversight with the tile that the statue is placed on. But did you know that you could also use cut to cut grass in Generation 1? This appears in some future generations as well, but whenever I mention this in a video, people in the comments always say they have no idea that you could do this. Now, while you could spend your time cutting grass in Generation 2 as well, you could also go to the Safari Zone. Well, actually you can't, but there does exist a map in the game files for Gold and Silver suggesting that a Safari Zone was at least planned, but never actually implemented. Another secret in the Gen 2 games that you can do pretty easily while playing through the game normally is turn off the surveillance cameras in the Team Rocket headquarters under the sketchy shop in Mahogany Town. All you have to do is walk up to the scientist, defeat him in battle, then go to his computer and turn off the cameras. This will allow you to go through the rest of the headquarters without those annoying cameras seeing you and sending Team Rocket grunts after you to battle. As for Generation 3, Pokemon Ruby and Pokemon Sapphire introduced a new move in Icicle Spear. There's just one problem though. No Pokemon in Ruby and Sapphire can actually learn Icicle Spear, and you can't even obtain the TM for it. Despite this, there is still an animation for the move in Ruby and Sapphire, which you can only obtain legitimately if you trade over a Pokemon from Fire Red or Leaf Green, which released about a year and a half later, as in that game, Pokemon can learn Icicle Spear. Another unused secret element in Ruby and Sapphire is this. Unused sprites for your character doing a wheelie off the front wheels of your bike. I don't know why you would ever need to do a wheelie off the front of your bike when you can do them on your back wheels as well, but it was at least planned sometime in development. For something you can actually access in the game though, there's the Scorched Slab. It's a cave on Route 120 that serves no important purpose despite having a unique name. You can get the TM for Sunny Day here, and it's said that this cave is modeled after Ama no Iwado, a mythological Japanese cave where the sun goddess Amaterasu shut herself in. This could just be a fun Easter egg, but given the specific history, it makes me wonder if more was ever planned for the Scorched Slab. It did plan ahead a bit in Pokemon HeartGold and Soul Silver, however, as we move on to the 4th generation of Pokemon, with this gift tentacle you could get. A gift tentacle doesn't sound all that interesting since tentacle can be found pretty much everywhere in the Johto region's waters, but this specific tentacle wasn't even known to exist when the game first came out. In order to get this tentacle, you have to be in Cianwood City and have no Pokemon with the moves Fly or Surf, and no Pokemon that can learn them. If you talk to this person in the Pokemon Center, they will then give you a level 15 tentacle, so you can then use Surf to get out of the town, as otherwise you would be soft locked here with no way to leave. An even cooler part about this tentacle is you could soft reset for it to find a shiny. As for Pokemon Diamond and Pearl, did you know that these were bike racks, and you could interact with them to get on or off your bike? It doesn't serve too much of a purpose since you could just register your bike so you can ride it by just pressing select, but it's a cool little feature nonetheless. There's even a few secret wallpapers like this Team Galactic wallpaper for your PC that you can unlock with a special phrase depending on what your trainer's ID number is if you talk to this person in the Poketch building and say the correct phrases. Also in Pokemon Diamond and Pearl, on certain days of the year you could see what looks like snow falling from the sky. It's called Diamond Dust and only appears on certain days like Junichi Masuda's birthday on January 12th, Pokemon Day on February 27th, and April 22nd, which is the day Diamond and Pearl released in North America and is also Earth Day, and I just checked my schedule and it's also supposed to be the day this video goes up. Similar Diamond Dust appears in Pokemon Black and White and Pokemon Black and White 2 as well on New Year's Eve. Now, while Team Rocket don't appear in the 5th generation, you could still find an ex-Team Rocket member in Unova. He lives in Icarus City and isn't wearing the signature Team Rocket Grunt uniform, but it's implied that the same guy is the same Team Rocket Grunt who robbed that one house in Cerulean City, and he moved to Unova to abandon his life of crime. In Black 2 and White 2, you can also find a former Team Aqua member and a former Team Magma member that are living together. The woman mentions how she was part of a group that wanted to cover the world in water, and the man says he was part of a group that wanted to make more land. They both say not to tell their partner their secrets, even though they're standing right next to you. Another couple you can find in Pokemon Black 2 and White 2 are Curtis and Yancey. You find their lost cross transceiver in Nimbasa City, and along the way Curtis, or Yancey depending on which character you're playing as, will call you periodically. After 10 calls, you can return the cross transceiver to them, but then they will just call you on your own cross transceiver. You get called if you're standing on a specific tile in the game, and in some of these calls they will offer to trade you Pokemon like Snorlax, Sableye, or Ralph that you can trade for any Pokemon that you have. There's 12 total Pokemon that can be traded to you from Curtis and Yancey, although unlocking all 12 is rather tedious, and I don't think many people out there ever got all 12 trades from them. Pokemon X and Y has an infamous item called the Strange Souvenir. It's given to you by an NPC in the hotel who hints that it's from another region far away. He doesn't say where it's from, but the item appears again in Pokemon Sun and Moon with an updated description saying, an ornament depicting a mysterious Pokemon that has been venerated as a guardian deity for an extremely long time in the Alola region, showing that even way back in X and Y, they already had some plans for Sun and Moon. While they did do a pretty good job for planning ahead for Sun and Moon with the Strange Souvenir, they didn't seem to plan ahead when they added AZ's Floette into Pokemon X and Y. AZ doesn't even use one of his own Floettes when you battle him, but AZ's Floette still exists in the game files as a Pokemon with different stats than regular Floette, can't evolve, and is unobtainable. This could suggest that it was originally planned for AZ to have one on his team when you battle him, or even for the player to be able to obtain one, but that was never the case. It even exists in the game files for future Pokemon games too, which could just be leftover data, but seeing as we never got to see the full story to Pokemon X and Y, I can't help but wonder if there was more in store planned for AZ's Floette. Then, in Anastar City, there is a man who asks you for a low-level Pokemon to keep him company. This seems rather innocent, but if you give him a Pokemon, then return to him after defeating the Elite Four, you will see a Pokeball containing the Pokemon on the ground, with a note implying that the man passed away. It's such a random and sad event that not too many people know about. Something similar happens in Generation 7 if you go to the Howali Cemetery in Alola at night in Sun and Moon. Here you can see a woman with her Machamp in front of a grave. She says how she comes here to pay respects to her husband who passed away while with his Machamp. The Machamp survived and now refuses to stay inside of its own Pokeball because it thinks it could have saved his trainer if it wasn't stuck in the Pokeball. On a much lighter note, there's a cool secret in Let's Go Pikachu and Let's Go Eevee located on the docks near Vermilion City. You can actually find a truck here similar to the classic and iconic truck in the Generation 1 Pokemon games that appears off-screen next to the SS Anne. The truck spawned many rumors about Mew, when in reality it was just a random truck here, placed here for no real reason. And this truck in Let's Go is similar, as you wouldn't normally see it unless you go out of your way to find it, and it also serves no real purpose. It would have been neat if they let you catch Mew here or something, but instead, to get Mew in Let's Go, you have to buy this thing. For Generation 8, did you know that in Sword and Shield, the Joy-Cons in your room will match the Joy-Cons on your actual Switch that you're using to play Sword and Shield? This one seems pretty well known by now, but have you ever noticed that in Motostoke, the fire department has this funny logo with an artillery on it? You can also find this statue across the Galar region, which might look familiar to you since it's the same statue of Krogunk which appears on the counters of the Pokemart in Diamond and Pearl. You can find the same Krogunk statue in Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl, and a lot of the secrets in these games are carried over from the original Diamond and Pearl game, except there were a few changes with some of the books in the Kanalave City Library. One book mentions how there was a Quillfish with huge spikes, which was a hint towards Hisuian Quillfish and its evolution over Quill, which has huge spikes. We of course got Legends Arceus released only a couple months after Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl, and much like the Strange Souvenir, this was a nice little hint towards the next Pokemon game. Then finally, for the current generation, Generation 9, the only games we have for it so far are Pokemon Scarlet and Pokemon Violet. There really aren't too many secrets in these ones, as many of them are pretty obvious, like the Generation 1 pixel art sprites you can find in Alpharnauta Town just by walking around. But there is also a secret Galarian Meow that you can get from the language professor after completing all of his classes and helping him rescue this injured Palmy. I don't think many people know about this one, so if you really want a Galarian Meowth in your game, you can now get one. You can also find this cute picture of a young Arven with his Mastiff before it evolved into a Mabostiff in the professor's lab in Area 0. Other than that, there really isn't too much else for Pokemon Scarlet and Violet, but maybe the DLCs will change that and add some more cool secrets for us to look at. We still have some time before the DLC releases though, so in the meantime, consider leaving a like to support the channel, subscribe for more Pokemon videos, and becoming a YouTube channel member if you want to support the channel a little bit more. Thank you all so much for watching, have a great rest of your day, and bye bye.